R2-D2, Your Highness.
Welcome back, Star Wars fans, to SMKR. This is your host, Steve. Up next is issue 30 of the Build Your Own R2-D2. I subscribe to this. I suggest you do the same thing. In this issue, we've got a lot to do. We're going to be working on his right leg. We're going to be installing the motor, which is included with this issue. And there's some tie straps here. We'll be grabbing screws from previous issues and all the pieces and components of the right leg. And we will be assembling in that. So stay tuned. And we will look at the parts here first. We'll assemble it. And then we'll look at the magazine after that. Alright, here is the motor. Let's take it out and get a closer look. And you can see here and we also got the tie straps. And we will be attaching the motor to the right leg. Alright, so I pulled out his right leg. We'll be assembling the motor to the right leg. We will be using 4 10mm screws from issue 28. And then we will also attach the power cable here from issue 17. This is LPR 21. Alright, let's attach the motor. The motor only inserts one way. You can see there's like a keyway here. There's flat edges on each side, and they will actually, we might have to rotate it a little bit to get everything lined up. Once we do that, then we can start installing our screws. And we need to kind of rotate a little bit here. I can see it needs to go like right about there. I'm going to get them all started first. And once they're all started, then I will go ahead and tighten them all down. They want them to be tight and secure. And there you have it. All 4 screws are installed. Now it's time to fit the wire. This was in a previous issue, issue 17, so we'll take it out. And we have to route the wire a certain way. It has to actually go through this end cap here on the wheel. So we will do that. I think the easiest way would be we'll stretch it out here, make sure everything looks okay, give it a good inspection of the terminals and all that here. Everything looks good on that side. Let's look at the other side. So we go from 6 pins side by side all together to 6 of them that are stacked, and we'll go from there. Now they want you to route this wiring under this bracket here, so we'll do that. There we go. And then simply take and snap it in place. Make sure these tabs here are lined up to the side keyways there, and then we'll slide it in. There we go. So now we need to find the other wire harness. Also came with issue 17, and that would be this right here. And you can see we'll take it apart. It has a larger connection and a smaller connection. And they tell us we need to take and put the larger plug through, just like we did the other one, so we'll do that. Put the larger one through, and then it looks like we just tie strap the rest of this through. We've probably got to leave about a length of 135 millimeter. So we will do that. So we'll measure that 5.5 inches. Alright, so before we do that, we got to do find out where the cable ties all go. Okay, so the first cable tie will go through, you guys can see, if you all can see here, the first cable tie is right there. So we'll measure from there. Let's put the cable ties in real quick. Here are the cable ties. We will put those in here. First one goes right here. And we need to measure 135 millimeter, or about 5.5 inches. Okay, so it's right about there. Everything gets secured off of this cable tie first. And I'm just going to leave them, I'm not going to tighten them down just yet, just get them all secure. Pretty nice how they did all this. And the last one. Alright, so like they say, measure twice, cut once. We don't have to do any cutting, but we'll just go ahead and measure one more time to make sure we look okay with that. And there we go. Tighten that down. Tighten this one down. Tighten that one down. And lastly, we will tighten the last one down. Get yourself some good wire cutters. I like to cut them really close to the end. And last one right there. And we're still not done. So we got all the wires installed, wire ties. We're going to get ready to install the outer case for this. Here's the right leg outer leg casing, and these parts here simply just slide in and out. I'm going to go ahead and glue those. My glue of choice for a lot of this is ABS glue, because I'm pretty sure this is not just straight plastic, it is a form of ABS. So I'm going to glue those down so it can be easier to assemble this later. I'm just going to put some glue on the back side of these. And since we're going to be installing this shortly, I'm going to let that dry up for a little bit, and then I will be back. For the next part of issue 30, we'll need the following parts. We will need the shoulder sensor assembly issued at, we got that at issue 20. We'll also need the upper leg mount assembly from stage 4. And then we'll also need the bottom assembly here. We have 12 6mm screws that we're going to use to assemble it all together on that leg. So stay tuned and I'll get those started. Alright, we're going to go ahead and fit the casing onto the leg, but before we do that we got to mount this shoulder sensor. And here it is right here. It simply just snaps into place. Like that. And then we'll take the sensor wire and put it through the leg. So that's in place. You see the sensor there. So the next thing we do is we have to take the wiring and put it all through the leg here. And we'll slide this through. Hold it together. And I think it slides all the way up. Just like such. Okay, so before we put some screws in, we have to fit this plate on it. Okay. So we flip it over as such, and then we take this fit that on that side, and then we can put the screws in. No glue required until we throw some screws in. So we'll put the first 6mm screw in. We got to put screws in all the holes. Okay, so we got 2 more screws to go, and just making sure that everything is flush on both sides of this before we put those last 2 screws in. These are all self-tapping screws. The black ones, remember, are for plastic to plastic. So Really cool. This leg looks pretty awesome, if you ask me. We're still not done. We've got a couple more steps to go. Okay, so all 12 screws are in now. Now we take our little cover, turn it over on this side, and we have this cover here that we're going to insert into. So make sure our stop is right there, and just like that. You can see everything is there. Alright, so we got to turn it over, and we got to put one 6mm screw in on the back side. And if you can see here, that's going to go right there next to the motor mount itself. And that will hold the cover in place. And that is it for that. Now we've got some more assembling to do here. Got to get some more parts that got issued from issue 21. Alright, next we have part number LPR 39 from issues 21, and we're going to put on the details here. So we're going to go ahead and situate this like they show us in the instructions. That one there, and that one there, and these will just simply snap into place like that and like that. Okay, so we will mount this on the leg, and right here, this notch in between is where our cabling will run through on the leg. So here's our leg. We're going to flip this over, and we're going to put part LPR 39 in place. Remember, your wiring goes in through this slot here. Now what I've done is I have disconnected this terminal here off of this, so it will allow me to move the wiring around a little bit better. And we want to make sure that it goes flat here as much as possible when we put this plate on. So we're going to put this plate on. There we go. And that is all slotted in and all kind of snapped in place there. And then I can run him up just like that. All set. And we will put our screws in next. And lock that down. And once again, 4 of the 6mm screws. And that is locked down. Pretty cool. Should have gave myself just a little more slack here on these wires, but looks good. And there you have it. That is issue 30 completed. We had a lot of steps in this, and it really kind of made it fun because we really did a lot of work on this leg. We put all the plates on, screwed everything together with all the screws on the back side, and you know, it's labor of love here. All I would recommend is make sure you leave yourself enough slack here at the motor here for the wiring to hook up. Mine's kind of tight. I thought I left enough slack, but I did not. So leave yourself enough slack there. Should be okay. It's the connectors on there okay, and I don't foresee any issues with that. Okay, let's look at the magazine. And happy modeling, everybody. Go build something. Alright, here's issue 30. Obviously we had a lot of steps. There's a lot of pages devoted just to assembling this issue, so there's very little articles in this. But we'll look through it here real quick. They talk a little bit about Industrial Light and Magic, the Building the Galaxy section of the book, and then they get into some of the filming miniatures that were used and how they went about doing that, and talk about the Battle of the Droids. This is a part 1 article with the droids there. Very cool. And that's what I like about the magazine. There's lots of illustrations here. You can learn a lot about what's going on in the Star Wars universe. And then we get right into the assembly of the right leg motor assembly. And there was a lot of steps here. I mean, we went page by page by page of installing the wiring, tie straps, all the screws, the cover plates and such. And then we go right into what's coming in our next issue, issue 31.